Hey everyone, this is Dan Saavedra from MergerData.com, and Tableau just released 2022.1. Let's take a look at the best new features for Tableau Online. If you're looking for Tableau Desktop features in this release, check out the other video that has the top 3 features that Tableau released for developers in Tableau Desktop.
So let's jump into the new Tableau Online features that make user experience so much better for people using Tableau Online. Now, Tableau really focused on the user experience for this update, not only in web editing, but for the end user as well. And the top features associated with Tableau Online in this release have to do directly with user experience. So let's dive right in. I have a published Superstore example on Tableau Online, and the first feature that Tableau released in 2022.1 that has the biggest impact, in my opinion, is the new Viz Tool Bar up top. Now, Tableau's been adding more and more features to Tableau Online for users, and the top toolbar was getting very crowded. There were options all across the top, and it was often overwhelming for people who are not familiar with Tableau to use that. And so now Tableau is consolidating the menu and making it look more like a modern UI and really tweaking the user experience so that it's easier to navigate. So the biggest difference here that you can see is the use of symbols and the use of drop-down menus now. So if we go here into the watch menu, for example, you see that grouped together are the subscriptions, the metrics, and the alerts, where before they were horizontally across the top toolbar. So this is a new modern interface. You also have your add or view comments button still, and then you have the various download options associated with the workbook. And so you can see that there's just some UI improvements in terms of the highlighting, in terms of the drop downs, the fonts, and the symbols to make this much more modern of an application. Users hated logging in here, knowing how much that organizations were usually paying for Tableau, and then seeing something that looked archaic. So now this is a much more friendly version for today's modern world. If I keep going here, you can see we have the full screen button right here. We have the share option in the corner. And so it's still the same functionality as before, it's just a much better look. On the left-hand side though, you can see that there's actually some new options with new features for this release as well. We'll get into this acceleration button later, but I'm just going to keep going over the other buttons in this new Viz toolbar. So you can see that you still have, or you have an animations option here where you can select the speed of the animations. You can pause your data source, you can refresh the data in the view, and then you can also undo and redo filters that you put on the dashboard. So let's say that we put a bunch of this stuff in. Instead of reloading the entire data source, the entire page, we can instead just push back, and Tableau is just gonna take one step back like you would expect from a modern application. So this is a really, really cool new Viz toolbar. It gives you all the functionality that you had before, and now you just have it in a much more compact version. Last thing with this new Viz toolbar is you have some really cool buttons up top, including the preview for the different modes here. If I click through these, you can just see that Tableau adapts the views to the device that you chose. So you can get a nice preview in the browser here. The other options up here, you have your Show Data Sources button, which shows you all the associated data sources with the workbook. You have search for your entire site or whatever you have permissions to, and you can also search by content type, which is a really cool feature. You can search just your favorites up here in the top right, which is really useful if you've been going through a bunch of workbooks in your organization and you just have a few that you know you use a bunch, instead of having to go to the general search model, which will basically surface everything on your site. You'll now only be able to search your favorites. You then have your help button up here, so you can see what's new. You can learn more about your Tableau Online instance. You can also look for Tableau Online help. And then you have your notifications as always. So just a really cool new Viz toolbar that makes it easier for users to jump into Tableau and navigate navigate the entire site like it's a modern application, because it is now. The next feature that we're going to go over is view acceleration. This is a really cool new feature that helps with performance on the Tableau end. So if you watch my Tableau desktop video, you'll realize that a lot of the new improvements have to do with performance. And users often will tell me that they expected things to load a little bit faster just because Tableau can take a little bit to render. It's still not slow, in my opinion, but it's definitely not a snap of the fingers that you see in some modern websites or modern data frameworks. So what Tableau's done is given a quick and dirty way to accelerate the views you have in your workbook, and all you have to do is use this view accelerator. And there's a few ways to configure this view accelerator once a workbook is published. So one thing that you can do if you're on a specific page is you can click on this acceleration button and you can toggle the accelerate. Now, the learn more portion of documentation that Tableau provides is actually very useful and very straightforward, and it explains exactly how this acceleration works. I would strongly recommend going through and just reading this documentation. It's a few paragraphs and then a walkthrough. Now, in a simple manner, the other way to accelerate your views in a workbook is to select all of the views, to click on the three dots, go to acceleration, and just enable all views if that's what you want to do. But definitely read the documentation and see where it's appropriate to actually implement this feature. So that's the second new feature in Tableau Online 2022.1 that is really a big impact to end users. The next thing is the new search experience, which we kind of covered in the first feature, but the new search experience is just much more detailed. So if I go up here to our search bar, you can see once again that content type is able to be selected if we just wanted to search for a specific content type. So right here we have our data sources that we selected, and you can see that we still have the filter options, but we can drop down and select an owner, we can select a modified time, we can sort it, and we can still search it. So if I did this, we're only searching for data sources associated with the title financial, or the term financial. So the search function, much more useful in Tableau now, which is very important for users with large implementations of Tableau. It can be difficult to navigate the site and find all of the workbooks, data sources, ask data lenses, everything that's on the site. And now this gives you a more straightforward way to find what you're looking for. So that was the third best new feature in this release of Tableau Online. For the fourth one, I would say it's the Ask Data Phrase Builder. Now, I know a lot of users are not aware of the Ask Data feature. It might not be very heavily used in your organization, but if it's not, I would strongly recommend exploring that option. And so if I go to this Superstore lens that I created, you'll see a little bit of a difference in the interface where you can click on Add a Field. You can also click on Add a Filter. And basically Tableau is just giving users a much easier way of building these queries so that you don't have to basically guess at what Tableau is looking for and how you're typing your Ask Data queries. So if I just added a field, let's say we'll go category, and we want to group by this field, we'll add it. And then we can just keep doing that. Let's say we want a sum of sales by category. And so basically as we're going through Ask Data here, we're just building, let me go back. We're just building our visualization, and it's a really easy way to get started here in Tableau. Users can ask questions, they can do ad hoc queries, they can get answers so that you don't have to build specific dashboards for them. Instead, it empowers the end user to figure out the answers to questions that they have. So it's a really empowering tool that opens up the use of Tableau Online, not just for people using Tableau Desktop, but for people who are just interacting with the data that's already published. So that was the fourth new feature of Tableau Online. The fifth new feature that has the biggest impact, in my opinion, is web authoring improvements. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into this one because there's quite a few little things associated with it, but if you've been developing in Tableau Online, you'll know that you run into limitations pretty quickly when it comes to formatting and customizing your worksheets and dashboards. So Tableau is constantly moving more towards the web editing functionality. Instead of forcing users to really develop in Tableau Desktop, they're trying to make the platform more accessible for all people. And so basically the biggest changes here is that you can right click on a lot of things. So before you couldn't right click on title. Now you can right click on title. It's the same with trend lines. It's the same with reference lines, highlight tables, everything like that. Before you were unable to do that. You'd have to download the workbook in Tableau Desktop, but now you don't have to do that. Now you can still edit the workbook in Tableau Desktop. You can actually directly from the dashboard in Web Edit, open it in Tableau Desktop to pick up where you left off, and that's this button right here. So that's still a really useful feature, but the capabilities of Tableau Online are constantly growing. Now, from my other video about the top new features for Tableau Desktop specifically in developers, there was a workbook optimizer feature, and you can actually run that in the browser here. So you can run optimizer and you'll get your best practices check too. So that's a really cool feature set that's added to Web Edit. It's really opening up the possibilities of what you can make while in your browser. The last new feature that is a really good improvement for Tableau Online is the filter performance optimization feature. Now, if you've been using Tableau Online, you'll know that filter performance and the interaction with filters is a very difficult thing to interact with. And so now Tableau basically just made that much snappier. So when you're editing filters, when you're right-clicking them, things are just showing up quicker. Your windows are more responsive. As you can see, I'm just clicking through things here, and it's very, very snappy. This even seems a little bit faster than Tableau Desktop, in my opinion. Maybe it's just my machine, but this is a really nice improvement to make things more usable in Tableau Online for development. Thanks for watching this video and going through the best new features in Tableau Online for end users and developers. I actually have 3 more features that I didn't include in the main part of the video, so I'll just list them out here because I definitely think that you should look more into them if you're a developer or an admin. And so those 3 new features are the embedding API. It's always great to be able to embed your dashboards and Tableau's interface into web applications, into web pages. So that's getting easier and definitely is something to check out. Another bonus feature is the Viz Load Times data source for admin insights, which is a very wordy feature. But basically, it just gives you a better look at your Viz load times. So before it was kind of a process to figure out how your views are loading, how your dashboards are performing for users. This gives you a centralized location to look more into those insights and see what's going on. And then last but not least is the improved OAuth login process. And that's pretty critical because basically what it's doing is Tableau's automatically initiating the login process as auth tokens are rejected or expired. And I'm actually reading this right now because off the top of my head I wasn't too familiar with the verbiage behind it. But instead of having another error occur and seeing that notification and any other admin seeing that notification, Tableau is just handling more on that login side. So those are really neat features that I think are worth looking at, especially if you're operating behind the scenes in Tableau as an admin or as a developer working more with the APIs and code associated with Tableau. So thank you for watching this video. I hope that these new features will help you in your job or maybe just in your day-to-day life. Let me know your thoughts on the new release, and I appreciate you watching the video.